Hello Seekers, happy Moonday. This is Wildly from Wildly Tarot coming to you with your weekly Moonday message for the people beginning for the week of April 5th, 2021. And as we enter this week, I am just having this sensation finally of some balance and integration coming into my body. I'm just having this real sensation of delight land in the bones, and the cards are really here to support that for all of us this week. So from the tarot, I used the deck, the Tarot of the Cat People. If you're curious, we got two opposing polarities of energetic expression this week. We received the King of Cups and the Queen of Wands. And I think this is so epically beautiful to describe what we are experiencing and moving through this week. So to dive into the King of Cups. Cups, this is the watery realm. It's our emotions, it's our feelings, and this King in particular speaks to creating that container for ourselves, creating that space in which we allow ourselves to hold our feelings, and we employ discernment with whom we share those feelings with. So it's also really fascinating to me that this, if you think in terms of masculine and feminine, this would be the king that is the most feminine of the king archetypes. Now, we've talked about this before. I'm really moving my language away from masculine and feminine. So let's reframe that. This king would represent the most magnetic of the electric types with regards to the kings. Or you might say this would describe the most receptive of the projective energy with regards to the archetype of the kings, right? So we're just playing with language. We're playing with language and allowing the mind to soften and take in these ideas of polarities as maybe not necessarily opposites, but simply different ways of the same energy expressing itself, right? And it's in conjunction here with the Queen of Wands. And so we could also extrapolate from this that this queen is one of the more masculine of the feminine archetypes of the queen, or one of the more electric of the magnetic archetype that is the queen, or one of the more projective of the receptive archetypes, right? So what I'm seeing in these two cards, just like what I'm feeling in this week right now energetically, is this sensation of coming into balance, of feeling these energies move in our bodies and perhaps allowing ourselves to soften our mental attachment to naming things, to putting things in a box, to having things be defined in a way that makes our minds feel as though they don't have to work. And this is often the energy that comes up in the springtime. You know, we're moving from the cool sluggishness of winter in this transition period as we move into the hot buzz of summer. We have this springtime. It's the space of the push-pull, where we're moving from one polarity to another polarity in the macrocosm of the seasons. And now we can perhaps use that energy to look inward and look at the microcosm of those polarities. So some really wonderful journal questions for yourself this week might be, in what ways in my life do I show up in a really magnetic way? In what ways do I show up in a really electric way? And do I have any sort of story or narrative going on that makes me really attracted or really repulsed by either one of those energetic polarities, right? And I'm also feeling inspired. Last week we had National Transgender Awareness Day, and I'm really feeling feeling that sensation too, that there are lots of beautiful beings in bodies that help us to hold this idea of there not being necessarily this huge polarity of energies, that we can have them all held in one body, or we can play with moving with more of one and then more of another. It's an open spectrum that's available to all of life, because it's simply these energies of magnetic and electric. And it is our culture's stories about masculine and feminine that actually prevent us from exploring what those energies might feel like in our body, what those energies might do for us, help us to direct our lives. You know, if we are in bodies that we have claimed an identity of fully feminine, then we may not feel really empowered in our lives. We may not have access to that electric energy that helps us to stay focused, that helps us to navigate life and create those containers for ourselves. And on the flip side, if we have made a mental construct where we hold on tightly to our cultural story of what masculine means, then we may not allow ourselves to step into the realm of the magnetic, of reception, of calling in, of allowing things to happen without needing to be so controlled and directed. And as with all of these messages, we'll drop in here that there is nothing good or bad or right or wrong with any of those ways of being, right? It's simply an exploration of the energies that are available to all of us. And it's something that can spark curiosity and allow us to play a little bit more in our lives and not have to be so constricted by any stories that anyone has placed on us from our early childhood years. And the archetype card that came forward to support, we have, see if you can see that, surrender. So this is the invitation this week, my friends, is to allow ourselves to surrender. Can we surrender to the integrative processes that are happening collectively this week? Can we surrender and soften into this push-pull and perhaps even get to the place where we're like, it's not push-pull, it's simply transition. We're simply moving from one side of the spectrum to another in an energetic expression. And I don't need to compartmentalize or create a story around it. I can simply be with it. And our stone friend that wants to support us this week, we received Tiger's Eye. Oh, this one is so reflective. I don't know if, there we go. Yeah, and Tiger's Eye for me always connects with the third eye. It always connects with our ability to plug in, tap into the dream weave, and actually explore life in a quantum way by experiencing all that is, including our dream time, including what comes through when we have meditation, or if we journey with ourselves or with a group. Just allowing our experience in this dense animal body to be much more, to be limitless, to be curious about what we can in fact take in and experience in this life. It can be so much more than just working the 9 to 5 or meeting what our society has told us is the touchstones of a life well lived. There is so much more available to all of us if we breathe, if we take the time, if we go inward, if we decide to note and track our own process, not only with our external lives, but within the body, within the mind, within the emotional realms. Truly just being with and writing the own map of our existence can add a level of richness and delight that we aren't taught in Western culture. It's the type of satisfaction that can only be cultivated and can't be purchased. It's one that lives and resides within. and is truly our seat of power in this lifetime, the place that nothing and no one can take from us if we choose to create that container within. And this week feels like a really potent time to explore that level of self-sovereignty and personal agency. That feels like the message for this week. I hope that it serves you well, dear seekers. I hope that you have everything that you need. And if you would like to share some space with me, my first couple of weeks are full, but we still have room in the last couple of weeks of April, and I would so love to share space with you and help you navigate whatever you're moving through on your journey. So please take a look in my bio or the show notes, and I look forward to sitting with you soon. Be well.